fly. First, love yourself. I'm your host, Maggie.
And I'm Wayne.
If you've been following us, our last episode, we spoke about negative self talk, which is a very important element to treat in the pursuit of first loving yourself. Negative self talk makes you put yourself down, or you can act as a perfectionist. But we working on getting rid of that. But today
we're going to build off of that last topic, and we're going to take it a step further. Because once you change your thoughts, the magic begins.
Okay. Well, just a little disclaimer. Today we are talking about healing emotional triggers. A little disclaimer, everything we have discussed in this channel, everything we are discussing right now are simply educational and inspirational. If you have any mental health problem, this is not intended for that. Please consult your provider.
Emotional triggers are unresolved emotional wounds that are activated by people, words, situations, and environment. It can be very critical because it can make you make some really bad choices. Emotional triggers, what they do is they cause automatic reactions. And normally it's bigger than the moment itself.
That's right. Yes, we can have just a little discussion about something very simple. And it's nothing big, but somehow I get real offended and I start reacting. I start raising my voice. Why? Because, let's say what it says, because your emotional triggers, because I just got triggered. By what? That emotional trigger, which could be something that was said to you growing up by your friends or by not so-called friend. Maybe your parents said something out of anger. Maybe you were in a relationship where things were done that were not pleasing to you, but somehow they never got resolved. But today, even though what we're discussing is simple, is tiny, but because I have these wounds, these problems that I never took care of, I simply react. It makes you react when you're supposed to take a minute to think. It's not that, but because it's there, you don't take care of it, it always resurface.
Triggers, the first thing you have to do is understand what a trigger is. Mm-hmm. A trigger is something that takes you out of character. It makes you react in ways based off of your emotions and how you're feeling at the time when you're confronted with something that makes you get triggered. In order to get rid of that emotional triggers that you deal with on a daily basis, sometimes you have to evaluate the environment that you're in, because sometimes it comes from your environment. I'm going to take an example for a minute. When I first got my life together, right? And you would go out and you trying to find employment, right? But because of the convictions that you have, a lot of people, they turn you away. So what does that do? That's a trigger there. That says, okay, well, ain't nobody going to give me a shot. I might as well go back to what I know.
Exactly. So that is one. Now, let's take a young lady, for instance, who gets into a relationship, right? She's simply having a brief discussion, maybe a simple argument with her mate. and all of a sudden it turns into something physical. But her maid never intended for that to happen. But why it happened to her? Because in her previous relationship, and that is, I'm telling you a true story. In her previous relationship, there used to be physical violence. And even though she left that relationship, she moved on. In the next one, every time there is an argument, she will be the first one to attack, to hit the person. And why that happened? She never dealt with that situation. So, in order to really heal, to when you're loving yourself, you got to face situation. You got to find a way, seek help if you have to deal. Why did I act that way? Let me take care of that issue. How am I gonna heal from it? Because until you heal from it, you cannot really move on to something healthy. So it is really important to deal with those issues. Today, we have a very high percentage, if you look at the statistics in relationship, we have a high number of divorce. We don't know how to communicate with each other. We don't know how to keep something simple because of a lot of unhealing wounds. It is important. So
I think what you said was a big key word, communicate. And I think as people, that's where a lot of our problems stem from. We've lost the art to communicate. And getting back on topic, that sometimes your environment can cause emotional triggers. You ever been going out to a store and you may pull up to the corner store, you may pull up to the gas station, you're in a good mood, but there's people out there and the energy that they give off makes you get back into that savage mood. You understand what I'm saying? Environment plays a big part of emotional triggers.
It does.
It really does. People's words, like you're getting your gas and certain things they may say to you, it comes off like they being aggressive with you. So in return, your emotional triggers kick in from your past, and now you become aggressive.
Yeah. So what do we see here? There's a pattern. Now, if you get triggered, you got to recognize it. You got to ask yourself, is it really that much, or is there something in me that makes me react this way? So with that, you got to see the difference between reactions between a response versus a reaction. Are you responding to the current situation? What's happening right now? What you're facing right now? Is that what you're responding to? Or is it because of what's there? So every time you feel triggered, you gotta look deep. What is it I need to deal with? Okay? Am I addressing the situation right now? Did it really get to go where we hitting? We didn't have to heat up like that. So pause, to really pause. A pause will help you to not react. Okay? Pause. Every time you feel, because it's in there, that wound, you feel like it's get ruffled. Stop. Pause. Breathe. Think. Am I reacting to the situation now, or is it what's in me from the past? And once you able to recognize that, you will know what step to take. And if you don't, continue follow us.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right.
Continue follow us, and we'll guide you on how to get help, to get healing, what need to be done. So
you're absolutely right. You can't address what you don't recognize.
Yep.
And like you said, I was using that as an example how the environment can trigger you, but it's deeper than the environment. It's you. You're reacting to the environment. It's a difference between reacting and responding. Reacting basically is I'm responding to the aggressive nature of them, right? Responding is just answering that question and moving on.
Yes.
Or just ignoring the situation.
Okay. So, like a minute ago, I said we have a lot of problem in relationships because of emotional triggers. It's not only in relationships, we have other areas, but if we are looking at relationships, because a relationship is important, that's where we bring children. So whatever we don't deal with, not only we are affecting our lives, but we are also affecting the lives of our children. If you don't know how to heal your own emotional triggers, how are you gonna teach your offspring? So it is important. So every time you feel like you're being triggered, you feel pause and ask yourself, am I reacting to the current moment, or is there something in here I have to deal with? How triggers affect relationships? It creates a lot of dispute where we can sit down and discuss something. If I feel offended, I could sit down and ask my husband, this is how you said this. This is how I take it. And then I could give him a chance to explain himself. But if I don't do that and I just react, things gonna heat up and get to a level it did not need to go to. So remember, pause and ask yourself, anything to add?
I just want to say, just always be mindful that the choices you make will shape your life forever. When you make bad choices off of how you feeling, it's always going to cost you. I want to thank everybody who subscribed to the channel. We appreciate all the love and the support, and we're going to grow together.
And I also want to remind you, when you don't take time to heal your emotional triggers, those things, you're going to bleed on people you don't need to bleed on. What do I mean by that? You're gonna hurt your relationships with others because you did not take care of the past. Okay? Instead of them hurting you, you're gonna hurt them by your reaction. So please take a moment to pause and ask yourself, am I reacting or responding? We want to thank you for coming to our channel. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.